His Excellency Mr. Matthew Sadders, Ambassador Permanent Delegate of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland to UNESCO. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excellencies, Mr. President of the Executive Board, fellow ambassadors, dear colleagues. First of all, congratulations, Mr. President, on your election to the important post, and thank you for the leadership you've already shown, but more importantly, thank you for the work I know you're going to do over the next 2 years. Happy birthday, UNESCO. At 70 years old, many people are ready to retire, but just lately I see UNESCO with a new sense of purpose and a new lease of life. I see that for the first time since the financial crisis began, a new programme will formally come into being at this General Conference, the new Geoparks programme. The UK was proud to support the development of this programme, and if it's adopted by this conference, we look forward to welcoming the first ever UNESCO Global Geoparks Conference in the UK next year. We also look forward to UNESCO's role in the Sustainable Development Goals. In getting here, we saw UNESCO's intellectual leadership. Please keep it up. We know too that UNESCO will be needed to respond to new challenges never envisaged 70 years ago. Art, artifacts and monuments are how civilizations tell their stories. We celebrate and recognize this in many UNESCO programs like World Heritage, Intangible Heritage, Memory of the World. And whilst those programs bring obligations and recognition, they are also designed for a world with an international system of states and rules, borders and justice. But today's challenges come from people who recognize no rules, no norms, borders, authorities or justice. Their simple purpose is destruction and the prevention of social cohesion. That's why the UK government last week hosted a Cultural Protection Summit. We are working to establish a Cultural Protection Fund, and the government has also committed to ratify, finally, the Hague Convention. As a first step, we launched the £3 billion Iraqi Emergency Heritage Management Project to be implemented by the British Museum. We're going to continue developing our fund and we'll work with others, including UNESCO, as we do so. Of course, preventing violent extremism is also a key challenge for us all today, and it encompasses many different strands of our work. Education has a key role because we know that hatred is taught, not born. But terrorists and extremism aren't our only challenge. Just this week, the launch of the World Trends in Freedom of Expression and Media Development report highlighted the vital role that a free media plays in a functioning democracy, and just how often that's under threat. Our CI sector plays a vital role in embedding the values which underpin our constitutional commitment to the free flow of ideas. Mr. President, we could all speak for hours about the importance of UNESCO's programmes, highlighting each different one and its need. But I think we should also talk about the challenge for UNESCO to adapt to the future, to make sure that it positions itself to deliver a clear and critical role within the wider UN system to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Those goals have several key characteristics which we need to understand to implement the best programme. Leave no one behind is key. This means that we will need to know where are the marginalised, the excluded and the left behind. How do we reach them? How do we give them the opportunities we all want? This requires a data revolution and adaptive policies. And when I talk about leaving no one behind, it's particularly important that we make the SIDS a priority in our actions, policies and resources. And whilst the MDGs were vertical and siloed, the new agenda has the potential to be much more integrated and horizontal. How will we make integrated solutions the norm rather than the exception? Where the MDGs drove a largely north-south agenda, the post-2015 agenda is universal. In their work to make the UN system fit for purpose, the leadership of the United Nations have identified several key challenges. A key one for UNESCO is to become more transparent and accountable. That must specifically include accountability to beneficiaries, and this is an area we still have much to do. We did not undertake the required beneficiary survey before we developed the new C5. We do not routinely evaluate our conferences or meetings. UNESCO's staff are not able to benefit from client feedback as part of their appraisal. This is a real shame because we have so many staff who are highly appreciated by those they work with, and it would be nice to get this recognised. Mr. President, this also brought challenges from within the institution. $5 million was spent on a staff separation scheme which could otherwise have been spent on priority programmes. Elsewhere, we need to see consistent, coherent, transparent responses to the recommendations of the recent audits. This needs to see us properly adhering to the rules on tendering and contracting, paying more attention to the field offices, improving HR management, and improving transparency and tackling conflicts of interest. Mr. President, UNESCO's reputation for accountability and transparency depends on getting this right. I cannot close without putting on record formal thanks to someone who's been the heart and soul of the UK delegation for more years than I'm allowed to mention. I mean, of course, Hilary Eisen. Hilary, you have been the heart and soul of our delegation. You have been a dedicated member of staff, and I salute your service, everything you've done for your country and your delegation. I wish you every happiness in your impending retirement, and we're really going to miss you. For Hilary.